You can measure the size of an elephant. You can clock the speed of a cheetah, but you can't quantify the heart of a kings, queens, and in-betweens. Welcome to Dr. Boxing Talk. Stream starts now.
The champ is here! The champ is here! The champ is here!
If I tell you I'm good, probably you will say I'm boasting. But if I tell you I'm no good, you know one line.
Yo, 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 yo. Good, great, grand evening to y'all, man. You know what I'm saying? What up, what up, what up, what up, what up, man? We in the building, man. Y'all know the champ is here. The champ is here. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know what time it is. The doctor's in the house. Yes, man. Let's get it. Let's get right to it, man. Let's hit this roll call real quick, man. I got my boy Illuminati in the building. What it do, brethren? So what's good, Doc? Hope you and your family have a great Thanksgiving, man. I appreciate that, bro. Same to you and yours, man. Hopefully you and yours have a great Thanksgiving, man. You and your family, bro. Wish you nothing but blessings, bro. You know what I'm saying? Yes, sir. That's so crazy, man. Bro, 2024 is almost done already, bro. Is that not wild, bro? Like, is that not wild, bro? Time is just flying, man. Time is just flying, man. But let's get right to it, man. Yo, we got .com in the building. What's good, brethren? You know, let's go ahead and start off with our prayer as you usually do, man. So please join me and bow your heads. Thank you, Lord, for this wonderful day, Lord, the day before Thanksgiving, Lord, where we could hopefully go and spend time with our loved ones or find some rest or relaxation, Lord. But in the midst of all that, Lord, let's not forget to be thankful, you know, because that's what Thanksgiving is about, man. Being thankful for what you have, the blessings that you have received, the blessings that you anticipate too, but more so the blessings that you have already received, Lord. And please let us recognize the fact that we are able to live and see another Thanksgiving is a blessing in itself. So please let us enjoy, you know, the fellowship that's established, the family time, the gatherings and the loves. And even if you're just there with somebody in spirit, you know, just appreciate all the well wishes and the good messages that we receive, and the fact that we are remembered by somebody, Lord, and keep other people in our thoughts and prayers, Lord. And let this Thanksgiving be another great one. Good Lord willing that we make it to see Thanksgiving. It is tomorrow and nothing's promised, but Lord, we hope that you we pray, we ask that you bring us into Thanksgiving safely, and let us not forget to give thanks to you know, those that mean a lot to us, those that we take for granted, and especially you, Lord. We ask for your for your patience and your mercy and your forgiveness for not only our sins, but sometimes our forgetfulness as well, to just be thankful overall on every day. You know, saying not just Turkey Day, but every day be thankful, Lord. We thank you, Lord, for everything. In Jesus' name, amen. God bless. Hey, Irony in the building. What's good, brethren? God bless you too, bro. God bless you too, bro. So today we have some. We don't have too many. We don't really have too many updates from what happened this week. I mean, since this morning show, you know, so it may be a short show today. Just warning you. But I did want to talk about some things, man. You know, of course, a lot of fights gaining traction. You know, in particular, Virgil Ortiz and Boots, they made a verbal agreement to fight. I don't really care about a verbal agreement. You know what I'm saying? It's Jaron Boots and this is Virgil Ortiz. Neither one of those guys seem like they would back down from a fight, especially in the public eye, especially when it comes to verbally agreeing to something. Like, I'm sure if I said, oh, Virgil Ortiz, you could fight King Kong, I'm sure he'll verbally agree to that. I'm sure if I said Jaron Boots Ennis, you could fight Godzilla, I'm sure he'll verbally agree to that. So, like, you know, say verbal agreements don't really mean nothing. It just means that both fighters are about that life. And if you don't want, I mean, I don't think anybody would expect anything different from fighters like Jaron Boots Ennis and Virgil Ortiz. Not only from the caliber that they fighters that they are, but also, you know, the mentality that they both seem to have. Man, they both seem like warriors. So, yo, why has my camera been losing focus as of late so often? That doesn't really do that as much. It's been doing it a lot lately. I don't know what's going on. But anyway, yo, my guy Ty in the building with a big membership by his name. That look good on your boy. That glove, you feel me? My boy got that Thanos glove. Just don't make it that Margarito glove, you feel me? But yeah, man. So don't forget to smack that like button as well. But yeah, I don't really think a verbal agreement means much because, you know, you have to get your promoters into it, you know, your team into it and all that stuff. There's a lot more than to negotiations than just verbal agreement and social media spats. But that is a good sign that they have agreed to fight each other, Virgil Ortiz and Boots Ennis. But, you know, Virgil Ortiz has also talked about fighting Bakram Murtazaliev, you know, and Jaron Boots Ennis has also talked about fighting, you know, other guys like Stanionis and Mario Barros. So, you know, there's I don't want people to get their hopes up too high. You still be hopeful, you know what I'm saying? Because we want fights, right? We want to be happy about fights and be excited. Don't be a hater like some of these goofies that every time a fight is supposed to happen or they hear about a fight, they just want to be negative. Don't be like that. You know what I'm saying? Enjoy boxing. So we should be excited, but don't get your hopes up too high because verbal agreements don't really mean much. You know, there's a lot more that goes into boxing than just two boxers verbally agreeing or social media agreeing, whatever it is, DM agreeing. It goes a lot more than that. That goes into making a fight than just the two fighters agreeing. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, don't be hard on the fighters like that extra hard. I don't think it's enough evidence to say, oh, if the fight doesn't happen, it's Virgil Ortiz's fault, or enough evidence to say if the fight doesn't happen, it's Jaron Boots Ennis' fault. So be hopeful, but at the same time, you know, this whole like I said, man, when I'm on YouTube, man, and it's just very it kind of almost overwhelming and more so overbearing, I would say. Just people's negative attitude towards everything. You know, Shakur Stevenson and Floyd Kid Austin Schofield, they may not fight. That fight may not happen either. You know what I'm saying? But it's just like people are just nitpicking and reaching to speculate. Why speculate and reach for the wrong reasons? If you're gonna speculate, why wouldn't you speculate something good? If you're gonna use your energy to go in the unknown and what you don't know is gonna happen, why would you go from a pessimistic standpoint? Why not from an optimistic standpoint? If the fight falls through, whoop-de-doo. If the fight falls through, okay, so what? You know what I'm saying? But it's exciting to see that the fighters are actually talking, which is what we want. Because if they weren't talking and Shakur wasn't acknowledging the call out from Kid Austin, people would say that, oh, he's scared. And if he does acknowledge it, people will say, oh, the fight's not really gonna happen anyway. If Kid Austin wasn't calling out the guys above him like Shakur or Gervonta, they say, oh, he needs to challenge himself. Now he's trying to challenge himself. We already knocking him down. Like, bro, come on, like. What do you want, bro? You know what I'm saying? Like, this whole negative mentality, man. These bunch of grown bitches, man. Bunch of grown boy bitches, bro. I have no other way to put it, bro. You should be happy about the fights being in talks. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my boy Ty, man. Bodega Boys in the building. Big membership for the one time. Dropping that bread, that cheese, that butter. Yes, sir, man. My boy pulling up with the membership like a boss. Wrong one, my bad. Like a boss. But yeah, man, I think it's I think it's dope. There's a lot of fights to get excited about. Speaking of another fight we talked about earlier this morning was Gary Antoine Russell and Jose Rayo Valenzuela. That fight is another great fight, man. I got to salute Rayo and I got to salute Gary Antoine Russell. Should Gary Antoine Russell get a title shot coming off of a loss immediately? I mean, probably not. It's not typically how it goes in boxing, but you know, sometimes the rules are different. Sometimes they get bent, and sometimes it changes due to circumstances, right? Like Sebastian Fundora was coming off a knockout loss, his first knockout loss to Brian Mendoza. What happened? He got a title shot with Tim Tszyu because circumstances led to that, because Keith Thurman sustained an injury. Sebastian Fundora was ready. You know what I'm saying? That's why I say, when you're born ready, you ain't got to get ready. So just stay ready. You feel me? You never know when the opportunity is going to come knocking on your door, and you don't want to miss it. You know what I'm saying? So if you don't want to miss it, you only get one shot. Do not miss your chance to blow. Ain't that like Eminem or something? You know what I'm talking about? So the opportunity comes once in a lifetime. You feel me? So shout out to Sebastian Fundora for capitalizing off his opportunity, you know. And then also too, Tim Tszyu came off of a loss to Sebastian Fundora. We can stay with the same people, right? In the same division. He got his very next fight. He got a title opportunity against Bakram Murtazaliev. So yes, it doesn't happen often, but this is not unheard of. Even sticking with Sebastian Fundora again, Errol Spence coming off a nasty brutalization at the hands of Terrence Crawford. He was in the works and in talks to be fighting Sebastian Fundora, who's a 2-belt champion with the WBO and WBC in the same division. This is just 3 fights in the same division I just gave you. All people coming off losses getting a title shot. You know, so yeah, it doesn't happen often, but it does happen, you know. And I can name some more too. I just gave you 3 off the top of my head, you feel me? So, you know, even look at Joe Cordina. Joe Cordina was coming off his first knockout loss with Matchroom. His next fight was supposed to be Shakur Stevenson. Not only was he coming off a loss, he was coming up in weight again. You know what I'm saying? In addition to coming off a loss, he's coming up in weight. And he had the title shot. So, like, this is not unheard of, man. You just got to pay attention to boxing. Yeah, Gary, you just because quantity does not make quality. You know, I'm not saying Gary Antoine Russell should get a title shot. But I don't think, you know, he lost a controversial decision to Alberto Puello. I thought the right person won. I thought Alberto Puello won. And but it was a close fight. You know what I'm saying? One, like, he got knocked out and put to sleep, and it was a devastating loss. Controversial loss. And some people thought Gary Antoine Russell did enough to win. I personally thought the right person won. I thought Alberto Puello won. So, like I said, I would more so salute Rayo if this fight happens, man, because this is a very dangerous fight, man, for your first defense to fight Gary Antoine Russell. Man, that's a good fight, man. I think that would be fire, too. And it'll be on the undercard of Tank versus Lamar Roach. You know, that's what they're speculating, right? Borzoy in the building. So, Jaron Ennis, the widely perceived underdog against Virgil Ortiz, unless dirt is done here. I don't know what you mean by that, but I just don't think Spence loves it anymore. He's in silk pajamas. Yeah, you might be right about that, Jermaine. Jermaine in the building. What's good, brethren? We got Borzoy in the building. What's good? But yeah, I don't know what you mean unless dirt. I don't know what dirt you're talking about. If Jaron Ennis is a wide underdog against Virgil Ortiz, I don't think so. But I mean, maybe in your mind, I don't know. I don't think anybody would have him as a. Maybe they might have him as an underdog, but the wide underdog, I don't see why. Yeah, I mean, Boots is a champion. He's a champion at 147. The fight happens at 154. Virgil Ortiz is an interim champion. He's not a full champion. So, yeah, I think it's actually the contrary. I think most people will have Jaron Ennis as a favorite. I don't know who's gonna win. I think it's a good fight. I would lean towards Boots, but even if Boots is a favorite, I don't think it'll be a wide favorite. And if Virgil Ortiz is a favorite, I don't think it'll be wide. I think it's a pretty good fight. You know, I like that fight to happen, man. I hope it happens. But if it doesn't, I wouldn't be mad at Virgil Ortiz fighting anybody at 154, because 154 is a hot division. If he's fighting Bakram, I'm cool. Fighting Erickson Lubin, I'm cool. If he's fighting Jesus Ramos is fighting Jason Rosario, but Jesus Ramos and Virgil Ortiz is a good fight. Brian Mendoza and Virgil Ortiz is a good fight. So there's a lot of good fights for him. And then, of course, Boots, he has a lot of good fights, too, at 147. Obviously, the other champions, right? Mario Barrios, Amantis Stanionis, but he's fighting Shakram Giyashov. And then Brian Norman, but he's fighting Derek Cuevas, which is another good fight because it's top 10 for voluntary defense. Him fighting a top 10 guy is good, you know. But yeah, I think that they have other options besides each other. But yeah, I hope this fight happens because I like it. But I wouldn't be mad if it doesn't either, because, like I said, there's so many fights. I mean, people just, it's like there's a culture, especially on YouTube, on the internet period, but especially on YouTube, it's a bunch of sad souls. Like, I really be thinking that a lot of these people be sad. Like, how do you get through everyday life, bro? You just walk around mad and not doing nothing about it. Like, the internet is where you can really be upset and there's no consequences or repercussions. The worst is you'll get blocked. You can't walk around angry like that, mad at the world in real life, because you mess around and be mad at the wrong person or give somebody the wrong attitude, you might get slapped in your throat. You know what I'm talking about? So, you know, people are conveniently mad about certain things in certain places, you know, but they don't really keep that same energy. I don't really understand. People just walk around mad all the time. Like, bro, like, I'm excited about the news, you know what I'm saying? If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. There's a lot of good fights that are happening, like Naya Inoue versus Sam Goodman. I'm excited to see that, not because it's super competitive. I think Naya Inoue is going to beat the undefeated Australian and Sam Goodman, but that's a fight I can get excited about, man. I like seeing Naya Inoue fight. Tyson Fury versus Alexander Usyk, that's a good fight. Israel Madrimov versus Serhii Boachuk on the undercard, that's a good fight. You know what I'm saying? So, and even the speculated fights, you know, with Rayo and Gary Antoine Russell. You know, even this weekend we have which is not a real big fight, because they're smaller guys too, and it's an all English affair. But we have Galil Yafai versus Sonny Edwards. That's another good fight. So, like, there's so many good fights to be excited about, man. Even if some fights fall through, you know, there's still other good fights to be excited about, in my personal opinion. You know, not to mention Robisi Ramirez and El Divino Espinosa right around the corner, December 7th. Not to mention, on top of that, we have Liam Paul versus Richardson Hitchens. Like, there's so many fights to get excited about. You worried about fights not happening in February or March, and like it's wild to me, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I think that we need to give these fighters a chance to let the fight come into fruition, and if it doesn't, I'm sure it'll come about later, you know what I'm saying? And if not, then we have something to talk about, man. I just think that a lot of these folks with all this extra emotion is kind of crazy. Yeah, I try my best not to get caught up in it, because it's like, geez, man, people are already saying if this person ducks this person, if this person doesn't happen, is this a duck? It's like, guys, dang, they ain't even, you know, Zepeda just got done saying he was injured. You know, literally 2 days ago, Zepeda and Shakur was canceled. 2 days ago, that's when Zepeda announced his injury after the Terrence Tevin Farmer fight. We should be applauding Kid Austin Schofield and Shakur Stevenson for even getting this far in quote unquote negotiations, no matter how concrete or flimsy they are. That was a quick turnaround, bro. This in 2 months, bro, Shakur hasn't even had a fight with Matchroom yet. He just came off an injury himself. So the fact that we're even talking about, or even slightly convinced that a fight is almost done between two fighters that had no intention of fighting each other up to 2 days ago, we should celebrate that. You know, but, you know, maybe I'm a glass half full type of brother. I don't know, optimistic type of brother. I'd rather be, you know, there's a saying that, you know, being positive doesn't solve any situation, but it makes every situation better than being negative does. And that's a gosh dang fact. So you could be over there, be negative all you want to. You just sound like a little spoiled little biatch. I ain't gonna lie, man. A little pessimistic, negative little biatch. You know, but hey, that's your business. But yeah, the fight may not happen. I'm not convinced. I've always said that. I told you from jump, I didn't think Zepeda and Shakur wasn't going to happen, and here we are. But I'm not mad. You know, I will speak on it and be like, you know, it should happen. I want that fight to happen, but it's not happening. Boom, on to the next. We got plenty of fights that can happen, daddy. You know what I'm talking about? Speaking of fights that can happen, you know, what about Martin Bakole versus EFE Ajagba? I could sit here all day and talk about the guys that didn't fight Martin Bakole, right? We have Zhele Zhang, the Badman out of China. You know what I'm saying? Not the East Coast, but the far East Coast, you feel me? Out of China. He didn't want to fight with Bakole, so we went to Ajit Kabayel, who is, I believe, Kabayel's from Germany? I believe he's German. I don't know. The Badman, he's German today. Let me look it up for him. I don't want to disrespect his nationality. I think he is German, though. If he ain't German, he's German today. Yeah, he's German. Yeah, the big German. I ain't talking about Dirk Nowitzki. The big German. You know, he was set up to fight Bakole after Zhang skedaddled, right? And then now Ajit Kabayel, after he was ordered by the IBF for a title eliminator for Daniel Dubois' belt, he turned down the fight too, right? He backed out of purse bids. And now, after that, they were saying Zhele Zhang is back at it again. You up to bat again, you know what I'm saying? And he said he don't want it again. Now, it's funny that the guys that don't want to fight Bakole for whatever reason, you know, some people will say that they have legitimate reasons. Some people will also say that it's so it depends on how you look at it, how you want to, what you want to call it. Either way, they're not fighting, but they are fighting each other. And that's a great fight. So it's like, even though I think Ajit Kabayel is kind of, you know what I'm saying, Ajit is a little less legit for not fighting Bakole, and Zhang, you know, is a little less, has a little less bang, you know, for now, he's, you know, he's like Big Bang, you know, he's not Big Bang anymore, you know what I'm saying? Before he was Big Bang, like, like that. But now he's just Big Bang, you know, since he don't want to fight Bakole, but they're fighting each other. I literally can't be too mad at that. I think Ajit Kabayel and Bakole is a fire fight. I said fire. So like that fight is great, man. So it's only how much could I really be mad? I do feel bad for Bakole, but the silver lining is this: if it's a big if EFE Ajagba accepts, the IBF has called for another title eliminator, next man up mentality. We got EFE Ajagba, and I think that's fantastic. You know, partly because I'm black, I'm American, but I'm also Nigerian. EFE Ajagba is Nigerian, and I'm Jamaican. You know what I'm saying? So to me, you know, going back to my Nigerian roots, I think this is dope that EFE Ajagba's fighting, and then Martin Bakole from the Democratic Republic of Congo, another African nation. We can have an all-African affair, and we can maybe have another fight on the continent of Africa, like a big heavyweight fight. You bet that's crazy, bro. The last big heavyweight that I could think of right now, of course, EFE Ajagba. You know, besides these two, obviously, I'm thinking it's probably like Samuel Peter, the Nigerian Nightmare, man. So if we could get this fight back in the Democratic Republic of Congo, which is formerly known as Zaire, you know, where Muhammad Ali been to Zaire famously and stuff like that, you know, that'd be dope for not just Nigerian boxing, not just Congolese boxing, but boxing in the continent of Africa as a whole, man. So I think that'd be dope. And if this fight could happen in Africa, man, oh, that'd be fire, man. Especially in, you know, either in Bakole's homeland of Congo, or EFE Ajagba's home country of Nigeria, man. That'd be dope, man. So, you know, I'll go to Lagos, Nigeria, man. That'd be fire if they fight. But like I said, the caveat is that EFE Ajagba might avoid Bakole just like Zhang did. But you know what's crazy about that? If EFE Ajagba avoids Bakole like Kabayel did and Zhang did before him, I feel like EFE Ajagba will get the most disrespect. And I think it's unfair, but you know I want to see this, man. They can have a fight in Africa. That'd be fire. You know, it's kind of like what Kid Austin is getting right now, right? Like a lot of people are already anticipating Kid Austin and Shakur not to fight, and it seems like people are more mad about Kid Austin potentially avoiding Shakur than they are with the guy in Zapata who actually did avoid Shakur multiple times. You see what I'm saying? It's like certain, you know, certain people, they like to get mad at certain people that look a certain way. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times it looks like them too. It's like, bro, like turn it down, bro. Turn it down, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Keep the same energy, bro. But it's like, I don't know what it is, man. It's just like we have, we're more, people are more hypercritical towards certain demographics and certain communities, even if it's your own, than they are of others. Like, there's no way you could be this bad about Kid Austin potentially not fighting Shakur than you are about a guy who's been calling out Shakur in William Zapata multiple times, and Shakur finally obliged, and then Zapata hasn't been heard of since in regards to the fight. And now Kid Austin stepping up to the plate to replace him on late notice, short notice, you know what I'm saying, quick notice, and you already mad about the guy that's trying to make the fight, even if it happens, even if it doesn't happen or not. Like, you know, shout out to Floyd Kid Austin Schofield, man, for being willing to try to make the fight, whether or not it happens. You know, shout out to them for, you know, even if it's just boosting their brand, fuck it, boost your brand. You know what I'm talking about? Do your thing, bro. Because Zapata has been doing that since he fought Maxie Hughes 2 fights ago, boosting his brand off Shakur's name, and nobody said nothing. You know what I'm talking about? So if Zapata could do it, shout out to Schofield for doing the same thing. You know what I'm talking about? Shout out to you, bro. But yeah, I hope the fight does happen because it is a great fight. But I just think it's very funny in the hypocrisy. And they're not even embarrassed about the hypocritical talks, man. They just they just be out with it, you know. But yeah, if the fight doesn't happen, like I said, which I'm not sure, because I've always said this too, you know, the thing about Shakur and Zapata, or Shakur and Kid Austin, or Jaron Boots and Virgil Ortiz, what do they have in common? Even Jao Pataya and Zerto, right? They all have in common that they have the same two promoters, Oscar De La Hoya and Eddie Hearn. And while they are both on the same broadcasting platform, DAZN, you would think the fights would be easier to facilitate. And the fact that they're both working, well, I'll say, you know, almost hand in hand. I'll say Eddie Hearn's probably the closest to Big Turk, but Oscar's close with Big Turk as well. The fact that they're both operating with Big Turk, they're interlaced with Big Turk, you would think that more easily facilitate those fights as well. But despite all those things, despite all their commonalities, despite all the common denominators that they have, it still seemed like it's hard for Eddie Hearn and Oscar De La Hoya to agree on making their fights happen. And it seems like from the surface that it's mostly Oscar De La Hoya's reluctance to have his fighters go in there with Eddie Hearn's, because a lot of times it seems like Eddie Hearn's fighters will be the favorite, and he's probably reluctant to lose because, you know, he already has one of his stars in Ryan Garcia suspended. So, and he just lost Jaime Munguia, temporary or permanently is yet to be known, but he just lost Jaime Munguia to Top Rank. So he's reluctant to see, you know, to make a fight with Vergil Ortiz and Jaron Boots Ennis, because he feels like Jaron Boots Ennis would probably beat Vergil Ortiz, you know what I'm saying? And just like he's reluctant to have Zepeda fight Shakur, because he probably feels like Shakur has a better chance of beating Zepeda than the other way around, than the contrary. And just like he's probably reluctant to have Floyd Kiddos and Schofield fight Shakur, because he probably fears the same thing, just like he's probably going to be reluctant. It's yet to be seen, right? But he's probably going to be reluctant to have Gilberto Zurdo Ramirez fight Giapataya at cruiserweight, because, you know, he feels like his stars are dwindling, which is a real shame. But, you know, don't be surprised if none of these fights happen, you know. But it's so funny that people will ignore all those other things and just blame certain fighters when the opportunity presents itself. Like, no, there hasn't been really too many Matchroom and Golden Boy fights, period. So why in this instance are you ready to blame Schofield or Shakur or this guy or that guy individually, when the writing's on the wall, man? Historically speaking, especially recent history, this is a habitual thing that's been occurring. You know, it's a common occurrence. It's happened habitually, frequently, constantly, consistently, that Eddie Hearn and Oscar De La Hoya, regardless of what fighters we're talking about or discussing in the current situation for the potential fight, it has not been happening. You know what I'm saying? So I think the more appropriate person to blame would be to look towards the promoters for whatever reason, you know. But like I said, man, people have other agendas, man. Like, they like to expose people, you know, whatever. But yeah, man, I'm just excited that these talks have been happening and have been occurring and faster and faster and faster. Like Big Turk has been talking about this February. Well, he hasn't been talking about it, but people have been talking about this February 22nd card, man. And I think that this fight is great. Or, like I said, I covered this before. Are all these fights going to happen? You know, probably not. But even if half of them happen, it's great. You know, like I said, there's like 8 fights that could potentially happen, right? Beterbiev and Bivol rematch on February 22nd. That's the big one, right? They're all big ones, but that's the big one. Pause. Hey, yo. The big one is crazy.
No, did he?
Hey, yo. But yeah, so we have Beterbiev and Bivol, right? We have Dubois and Joseph Parker, right? Potentially, these are all potential fights. None of them has been finalized yet. We have Boots and Ortiz. That's 3. We have Jaron Ennis and Vergil Ortiz. That's what I mean. Boots and Ortiz. We have Zele Zhang and Najit Kabayel. We have Carlos Adames and Hamza Shiraz. That's 5. We could potentially have Martin Bakole and EFE Ajagba. Bam Rodriguez and Chocolatito Gonzalez, you know, Roman Chocolatito, and then Shakur Stevenson and Floyd Kiddos and Schofield. Those are 8 fights that could potentially be on February 22nd. So even if only 4 of those fights happen, that's still a fantastic, phenomenal, sensational, absolutely colossal, enormous, overall great card, man. Fantastic, spectacular card, man. So I think that there's a lot more to celebrate right now than there is to be fake mad about. Oscar De La Hoya has only allowed his guys to cross the street only to fight a Tank or Canelo. Facts. Talk to him. We're going to read that again because I feel like my boy preaching. I ain't even read the whole thing yet. You feel me? I feel like my boy preaching. Yes, sir. Spam up those hearts, man, on those likes. Oscar De La Hoya has only allowed his guys to cross the street only to fight a Tank or Canelo. Other than that, Oscar had to host the event or it had to be in-house. Talk to him. That's a fact, bro. So that's what I'm saying. So we could isolate one incident or one fight, but it's been a common occurrence, you know. Oscar De La Hoya himself would be pump faking a lot when it comes to making these crossover across the street, quote unquote, cross the street fights. You know what I'm saying? This is nothing that's unheard of. Like I said, there's relatively nothing new under the sun. Like, history repeats itself, man. This is the case. You know, when Oscar De La Hoya says he wants to make this fight with Vergil Ortiz and Terrence Crawford, it was fake news.
If you out here getting fake vagina over your fake jury, reality is reality.
And also, when he shook Big Turk's hands in regards to Zepeda and Shakur fighting, that was also fake news.
If you out here getting fake vagina over your fake jury, reality is reality.
So it just is what it is, man. So if you pay attention to it, the sport, you would know that. But you know, it's hard to focus up and have a clear mind and think independently when you're mad all the time. You know. It's got the difficult, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's got the difficult to think clearly. But speaking up on that, changing the subject, man, real briefly, man, I might be going to a fight on January 10th. Not a big fight, but it is in Orlando, man. And I told y'all this year in 2025, as long as God blesses me to see it, I'm gonna try to get back to my old ways of going to fights, man, you know, and try to just get out there again, man. I haven't been really going out to fights like I used to, and I used to enjoy, you know, a lot of things I haven't done lately that I used to enjoy a lot. So yeah, man, we have Elijah Garcia, you know, the young bull, going against Terrell Goucher, you know, and last time we saw Elijah Garcia, he was undefeated, but he just lost a close fight to Jaron Davis by split decision, I think, and I think that was even, it was actually, I think Jaron Davis won more definitively than the split decision, but I do think the right person won, because you know he was undefeated, young bull, so they didn't want to make him lose, but I don't think it should have been a split decision. But you know the right person won in my opinion. I think Jaron Davis probably won unanimously, but he won a split decision. So Elijah Garcia is trying to get the ball back rolling and get back on the winning on the winning track. You know what I'm saying? He's going against Terrell Goucher, who's not an easy fight. You know, Terrell Goucher, he had good fights. To Tim Tszyu. He lost to Tim Tszyu by decision, and he lost to his last fight was against Carlos Adames, right? The 160-pound WBC champion. That was a good fight as well. You know, another decision loss for Terrell Goucher. But the point is that this is be a tough fight for Elijah Garcia for him to bounce back, and I think that Terrell Goucher, if he wins, it'll be a good win for him too. So I think this fight will be good. It's January 10th, good Lord willing. So in Orlando. So I might slide to that one, man. We'll see how it goes. You know, good Lord willing, we live to see the day. I might make it out there, man. So anybody around the way in the Florida area, man, the Orlando area, man, let me know if you're gonna slide through too, man. You know, you might have to rendezvous in the lounge. You feel me? I think that'd be dope, man, to meet some folks in person from the stream and stuff like that, man. So but yeah, man, I think there's a lot of great things to celebrate in boxing. Also, too, man, I was watching some interviews with Jao Pataya, you know, the cruiserweight monster up there from Australia. And, you know, he was talking about his plans to be undisputed at cruiserweight, you know, and I think this is good because, you know, in the past, especially around the time when he beat Jack One Smack Massey, right, he was flirting and teasing with the possibility of fighting the winner Beterbiev and Bivol, right? But obviously it was Beterbiev, and I didn't really like that, you know, because I thought, like I said, man, I'm pretty much consistent, man. Many things can be said about me, but one thing for sure, two things for certain, I'm consistent. To me, at cruiserweight, of course, Zerto, there's 3 champions now because Zerto is unified, but before there was 4 champions, you know, back when Jabatai was fighting One Smack Massey, and talk about after beating him, he could go to light heavyweight or potentially go to heavyweight. It's like, bro, reign in your domain, you know what I'm saying? Campaign in your domain, you know what I'm saying? Conquer your domain. Like, you're one champion out of 4. You have the IBF. Noel McCain has the WBC. Chris Billion Smith had the WBO at that time. Gilberto Ramirez has the WBA. There's 4 champions, bro. I really, you know, I know cruiserweight is not a big division, and this is when this happens, right? When it's not a popular division, people want to hurry up and rush the quote unquote best man in the division. That is usually a title that's bestowed on them prematurely because they haven't proven that against the other champions, because proving something in the ring is trumps what you think. Like, I think Jabatai is the best cruiserweight too, but it doesn't matter. You know, I thought that Tim Tszyu would beat Bakram Murtazali by decision. He got knocked down in 3 rounds. So it's still important for people to actually have the fights in the ring. The fights don't happen in our minds. They happen in the ring. You know what I'm saying? I know we like to argue and debate, and sometimes we think that the debate, the winner is settled in our argument online. That's not where the winner is determined. It's determined in that squared circle, mano y mano or womano y womano. So I think it's very important, despite what I think Jabatai is the best at cruiserweight, but it's important for him to prove that against Zerto Ramirez, because Zerto Ramirez just beat Chris Billion Smith and he's unified now. Noel McCain, who hasn't been fighting, he needs to fight his mandatory Ryan Rozicki for the WBC cruiserweight title. But I think that there's some business to be handled in the cruiserweight division before we talk about the guy who seems like the best fighting other people outside the division. Same with Junto Nakatani, you know what I'm saying? We talk about him fighting Nai Inoue. What about Junto Nakatani fighting Seiya Susumi? What about Junto Nakatani fighting Ryosuke Nishida? Or what about him fighting Yoshiki Takei? All those guys are champions in his 118-pound division. He's only one champion. I like Junta Nakatani. I think Junta Nakatani beats them all. But I also thought that Takuma Inoue was going to beat Seiya Susumi, and Seiya Susumi upset him to take his belt. You know what I'm saying? Naoya Inoue's younger brother. So it's important for these things to happen. Even with Bam Rodriguez, I keep going. You know, there's Fernando Martinez and there's Fumulele Cafu down there who are other title holders too. It's important for them to follow the process, and then that even help them gain momentum and gain experiences to when they do step up and fight. Bam fights Junta Nakatani, he'll be better prepared. And when Junta Nakatani does step up and fight Naoya Inoue, he'll be better prepared because he went through other fighters that are great too, that pushed him to limits that he probably didn't think that he could go to before, and he came out on top. You know, so same with Jai Bataya. Before he goes to heavyweight, I think it's imperative that he at least unifies. He don't have to get undisputed, but at least unifies. But the great thing is that I've been watching interviews, and he's doubled back down and said that he wants to get undisputed, and he says that he wants to fight and unify with Gilberto Ramirez in 2025, good Lord willing, you know, after he satisfies his mandatory and Hussein Sakara, who's been called by the IBF. So I fully expect him to beat Hussein Sakara at the cruiserweight division. But it ain't nothing given, man, because a lot of people fully expected Tim Tszyu, Jai Bataya's countryman from Australia, to handle Bakram Murtazaliev, and that did not happen. That could have been further from the truth. That could not have been further from the truth, my boy. So, yeah, Hussein Sakara, just a little background on him, who's relatively unknown in the cruiserweight division. He's from Germany. I believe he lives in Turkey right now, and he's 22-0 with, I think, 18 knockouts. Don't quote me on that, but definitely 22-0. I believe 18 knockouts. So he hasn't been on the big stage. He's relatively unknown, but you never know what he might come with. So I don't think Jai Bataya is going to overlook him, but I'm hoping he doesn't overlook him, because that'd be crazy. That'd be a crazy upset. But I will say this too, you know, in addition to that, Jai Bataya he's more accustomed to being on the big stage, because Hussein Sakara, like I said, he hasn't really fought outside of Germany. He primarily fought in Germany. He fought a couple times in Turkey and some other places, but never really on the big stage. So that's in favor of Jai Bataya. Jai Bataya has athletic advantage as well. He has an age advantage as well, because my guy Hussein Sakara is 39.
Damn.
Yeah, 39.
I'm sorry.
39 is not old in life, you know, but when it comes to boxing, you know what I'm saying, or unless you're LeBron James and Diana Taurasi, you know, when you're 39, you're usually going down. But, you know, shout out to Diana Taurasi, you know, WNBA phenom, and LeBron James, the NBA phenom. You know, you don't really see a significant drop-off in their athleticism or their game. Well, maybe in their athleticism a little bit, but you don't really see a drop-off in their production and their productivity in the game, man. So, you know, unless Hussein Sakara could pull out one of those performances, and he's doing one of those things, then you would think that being 39 would be a disadvantage. Going against a Jai Bataya, who's in his prime. So there's a couple things that would lead Jai Bataya to have the advantage, and everybody fully expect him to win. I fully expect Jai Bataya to win, but you never know, man. You know, Hussein Sakara might try to come and upset the apple cart, and that'd be a crazy upset if he beats Jai Bataya. They fight January, right? January next year. So if all things go accordingly, then Jai Bataya, we're hoping, would get a cruiserweight unification with Gilberto Zurdo Ramirez. I think that'd be dope, man. I think that'd be real dope. But yeah, man, so there's a lot of good fights to look forward to. And even if there aren't great fights, you know, we still get to see some great fighters participate in some good fights, you know. So I think there's a lot more to look forward to than there is to look down upon, in my personal opinion, at least for me and my boxing fandom. So I'm looking forward to it for sure. I'm trying to think what else I want to talk about, man. I said we talked about Jose Valenzuela and Gary Anton Russell on March 1st, potentially. I think that's a great fight on the Tank and Roach undercard, which I think is a decent fight. I know a lot of people are mad about Tank and Lamont Roach. Lamont Roach is a champion in the WBA. He's at 130, but he's still a champion. You know, it's so crazy to me how people are just so hypocritical, blatantly hypocritical. They don't even realize it. Like, I'm not saying this is great. I'm not intrigued by Tank versus Lamont Roach. Don't get it twisted. I was not looking forward to that fight, but I do pay attention to boxing. I know that that wasn't the fight that Tank wanted. The fight that he wanted was Lomachenko. Lomachenko contemplated retirement. He doesn't want to fight, so he tried to pivot towards Ryan Valenzuela. Ryan Valenzuela said that's too quick of a turnaround. Understandably so. He just came off of a big win off of Esau Pitbull Cruz, a guy that Tank beat, by the way. But He just won a belt. He wants some time to, you know, rest, recuperate, and be prepared for a full long camp, as opposed to having a quick turnaround and fighting in November, which is what the original date was for Tank. You know, so I don't blame him for not wanting to fight that fight. But that was the other option that fell through. Then he wanted to fight Edwin De Los Santos. Edwin De Los Santos was hurt. That fell through. So then he pivoted and went to Lamont Roach. So that's his fourth option. What is wrong with that, bro? You know what I'm saying? And Lamont Roach is the champion. You know it's so funny. People talk about Tank fighting Lamont Roach and how bad it is because he's bringing him up. How the hell do you think Dennis Berinchyk got a title? Last time I checked, he fought Emmanuel Navarrete for a vacant title, right? Navarrete is a champion at 130. So one of the belt holders in Berinchyk, one of the 4 belt holders at 135, he obtained his belt from fighting a guy that typically fights at 130. So much so that after he lost to Berinchyk, he went back down and he's still the champion at 130. He didn't lose his belt. Same thing will happen with Lamont Roach. Same exact position. If Lamont Roach loses to Gervonta Tank Davis, he will retain his belt at 130. At WBA. So if you weren't mad at the way Berinchyk obtained his belt at 135 by bringing the guy, quote unquote, bringing the guy up, even though that's just where they fought at, then you should not say shit about Tank fighting Lamont Roach. Especially considering the circumstances surrounding that fight. It was his 4th option. What are we doing, bro? But people are selective when it comes to the things that they consider when making these assessments on boxers and boxing. My guy Cito in the building was good. He said, what is fancy fish called? Sophisticated. I'm asleep. But yeah, so I just think that sophisticated, that was funny. But yeah, I just think that that would just beef up the card. Tank versus Lamont Roach on the undercard. Rayo versus Gary Antoine Russell. Man, that's a good fight, man. You know, they both have knockout power, Rayo and Gary Antoine Russell. I think that's a very dangerous fight for both. You know, if Gary Antoine Russell wins, he's right back in the mix. If Rayo wins, that'd be a hell of a first defense, man, and that'll definitely raise his profile. And I'm not gonna lie, unless Isa Pitbull Cruz, who elected to fight Alex Fierro, I don't know if he still has the opportunity to exercise his rematch clause after that fight. You know, sometimes they have a statute of limitations on how long you could go before using your rematch clause. I don't know if it was something that he had to exercise immediately or something that he could exercise in 1 or 2 fights, you know what I'm saying, within a certain time period. I'm not sure. I didn't look into that. But let's say the case is that he cannot use his rematch clause anymore since he went another direction against Alex Fierro. Then I think that if Rayo beats Gary Antoine Russell and Tank beats Lamont Roach, I would fully expect that Tank and Rayo would probably fight each other after that, man. But you never know, man. Oh, you know, hopefully it'll be Tank and Shakur. I love that fight. I would love for that fight to happen. But like I said, there's a lot of fights in and around boxing that don't involve those two that are still great. But chat, man, I am getting freaking hungry, man. Like I said, it's probably gonna be a short show. I dropped a video earlier, man, so go check that out. You know what I'm talking about? In regards to what I dropped the video on, in regards to Job Attire, go check it out, man. Like the video. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel as well, man. This is our second show for the day. Tomorrow is Thanksgiving, right? Man, it's so crazy how fast time flies. So happy Thanksgiving to you all, man. I don't know if I'm gonna stream. I definitely won't be streaming in the morning for the morning show. The evening show, maybe if I'm full and I'm good and I'm chilling and I had my second and third and fourth helping. I don't know if y'all watch Lord of the Rings, but remember when Pip and Meryl, the little hobbits, were like, I want my first breakfast, my second breakfast. I might have to get my first, second, and third dinner. You know, if I'm feeling good and I don't have the itis, you know, I might do a late show, pop up on y'all, but I'm not gonna guarantee anything, man. So as of now, you know, it might be canceled, or we definitely at a maximum we'll have one show. But yeah, we'll see, man. But I want everybody to enjoy their Thanksgiving. He said Jaron already insisted that the fight be at 147, knew he was bad news. No, it's not Jaron. So tell the whole story. It's Eddie Hearn. So tell the whole story, bro. Just like it was Virgil Ortiz. If it was at 150, you wouldn't say, oh, Virgil Ortiz wants to fight at 154. He's forcing. You would say Oscar De La Hoya. So, Borzoy, I don't know what kind of stuff that you be on, but, you know, you be on some simpleton shit. So I ain't got time for you, bro. Enjoy Thanksgiving. So Jaron Boots Ennis has said that he will fight him at 154. So if you're going to say it correctly. Jaron Boots Ennis says that he'll fight him at 154. Eddie Hearn is the one that wants him to fight at 147, which makes sense because that's his fighter. He's going to look out for his fighter's best interest, and Jaron Boots Ennis is a champion at 147. So why wouldn't Eddie Hearn want to make the fight at 147 as a promoter for his fighter? Don't all promoters look for the best interest in their for their fighters? Or are you missing that part? You watch boxing or not? You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Virgil Ortiz, though, man. I don't think Virgil Ortiz would take the fight at 147 because that'd be stupid for him because he hasn't really been able to make 147 So that's why he moved up to 154. But if I'm not mistaken, Virgil Ortiz at this point he has more fights at 147 than he does at 154. So we'll see how it goes, man. A lot of fighters want things at certain weights that benefit them, and if that's the case, that's the case, man. If Virgil Ortiz can't fight at 147, don't take the fight. As simple as that. You know what I'm saying? Make it fight at 154. Go another route. You know what I'm saying? Jaron Boots Ennis wants to fight. He insists that he wants to fight at 147 because he doesn't want to move to 154. That's cool too. What you talking about is bad news. What's bad about a champion staying in the division that they're a champion at? You know what I'm saying? Like, well, when is that ever a bad thing? You sound dumb. But anyway, I'll let you be dumb. And that's your business, man. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man. So y'all be easy. Take care of yourselves. Remember to hit that like button. But even more importantly, besides that, man, remember with God, we can do anything. Without God, we're nothing. The doctor's out. Peace. Enjoy your turkey, your ham, and your collard greens, your sweet potatoes, your candy yams, all that. But most importantly, enjoy your family and thank God for his many blessings, man. Catch you on the flip side.
From the hood to college, both worlds they had to meet. 6 degrees between us, so cold, we're about to freeze. But we're Florida boys, hot takes, we bring the heat. We're moving the culture, the engineers to the streets.